This is our 25th episode and our last show of 2018, so we thought we'd take a quick look back at where we've been and take a little glimpse forward into 2019 to see where we would like to go. Okay, episode 25. This will be our last episode of 2018, and we thought we'd take a look back at how our show has done so far. Things we like about it, things that make us uncomfortable, things that we would like to do moving forward. Felipe, overall, because you do your own content on your own channel, how do you feel about, I don't want to say being a part of Get a Grip, because you are now Get a Grip. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think this was a very interesting year, not only to discover what is our audience, who are the people that we are talking to, but also to see how the YouTube algorithm works.
Yeah.
So basically, if you say anything Apple, if you criticize anything Apple, if you say anything remotely contradictory or that people can have their feelings hurt or whatever like this, that is where the algorithm on YouTube is gonna really work in your favor. And a proof of that is like which one is our most watched video, which has a lot more clicks than the videos in my channel as well. My videos, the videos in my channel, when I have a lot of clicks, it's about 400 views, but not much more than that. Yeah. And this one, the Mac Mini one, we had 8,789 to this date. It's crazy.
More than all of our other episodes combined.
It is. It is. Incredibly, it is.
Which was exciting when it happened. And then you can look at your other stats, and the next highest one is 1.2 thousand, the Black Magic episode.
Yeah.
It can be easy to get depressed or disheartened when you look at your view counts, but I'm trying to keep in mind that we have a very niche audience, and we're not kicking out 3-minute, easy-to-digest episodes. These are at least a half hour. They started out around 90 minutes. So we do require a fair amount of time investment from our viewers. Of course, they can listen to the audio podcast on the way to work or whatever. But with this format, we're never going to have 1 million subscribers. I just don't see that happening. I don't know if the audience is there, and honestly, I don't really care. I mean, yes, I want to reach people, but I would rather produce the content that I want to produce and have 10 people watch it than water it down to get 1 million.
Yeah, I think I was listening to a podcast the other day from Tyler Stallman, and basically he was saying the long format stuff, the platform where they normally live is iTunes, SoundCloud, and stuff like that. It is only audio form and should be made not like we do, like we make a video and then we output an audio and put it there, but really made for audio listening. And so I do agree that I don't think we're going to ever get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube with this particular format. But this particular format on iTunes, just audio as a podcast, I'm pretty sure that we can get there. We are, 40% of the way there on our podcast, I think.
Wait. We're not 40% of 1 million anything.
Oh, not 1 million, 1,000 that I was thinking, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's a little small.
Maybe. Not 1 million yet. Not just yet.
Not just yet. So we've covered a lot of different things, from interviewing lots of other video professionals, filmmakers, people who run other YouTube channels, talking about video production misconceptions and how to grow your business and vertical video, lots of different things. And there's the list of things that we can talk about continues to grow. It can be hard to find topics that you can boil down to a half hour or so, though, I think, without just becoming your standard review channel. But you mentioned the Mac Mini Pro episode, which was the hottest one for us. The next one down is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K episode.
that we never actually had a Mac Mini in our hands. And we were
That's
talking
true.
about all the possibilities that you can do with that computer. And of course, some people disagreed, half agreed, and more or less like that. And it was very interesting because it really started a conversation. And I think that's one of the best things about making these videos, is really to start a conversation. It's not like I own the truth or you own the truth or our opinion is the best one or anything like that. It's really starting a conversation. So I love that part of starting the conversation. But it was actually very interesting to see that to this date there are people doing benchmarks and tests and etc. with Mac Mini in so many different configurations to discover what we speculated would be possible, that computer had a great potential. I mean, naked as is, you're not going to use it for professional applications like for video and things like that, but then everything is just a cable away. You plug in an eGPU or external sound devices and things like that. So it was, for me, I'm actually quite proud of that episode because we really were very realistic of what people can possibly do with the Mac Mini. And nowadays we can see a lot of other videos on YouTube pretty much confirming what we have been saying. So that was great for me. I'm actually super proud of that video.
Oh, I am too. But the episode right before that, while it's our second most popular as far as views, we got a lot of flack for it, and that was the episode on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K.
And that's when I had the camera in my hand.
Well, yes, that's true. It was hard to swallow that negative criticism at first because a lot of it was targeted at us as if we did a proper review, and then it was just a poor review.
Which never was, right?
A review. It was just kind of it was literally a first impressions, as in the thumbnail and the title. But people who are into cameras get really violent with their opinions. It's just true.
Yeah.
And I think I'm glad that episode happened because I'm over the negative criticism now. It doesn't really bother me anymore. For a while, the thumbs down were beating the thumbs up, and for some reason, the thumbs up just took off. So that's reassuring.
You're literally asking for negative comments on this video right now.
That's fine. Like I said, it's we didn't get our first thumbs down until I mentioned in an episode that we hadn't gotten a thumbs down yet.
That's true.
If that's the reason why people want a thumbs down, then more power to you.
It's how people are manipulated, right? I mean, one day we should do an episode about what it is, the herd mentality, because we hear about a lot of people don't understand and don't realize that they're being part of a herd mentality. Be that putting thumbs down, putting thumbs up, or an opinion about a camera, or anything at all, really. It's really, they hear from someone else and they hear from another person like, well, it's more than one, so it must be true, so I should have the same opinion, and those things. I mean, I don't want to get into that point right now, but yeah, herd mentality is something that is really difficult to go through. And
did the negative feedback on that episode make you question going on with the show? Or what did that stir up in you?
No, it questioned me doing that type of episode in which we're talking about cameras specifically, because people were very quick to say, "Oh, you used the camera wrong." I mean, they haven't seen me setting up. Mm-hmm. They haven't seen me using the cameras. So how is it possible that someone can go there and say, "You used it wrong"? When I'm setting up everything, I spent hours. Like, for example, if I'm gonna do a shoot for an hour, I spent at least 2 hours setting up cameras, making sure that everything checks. And of course, no one's perfect. I got that camera for that specific shoot so I could actually test that camera. That shoot was a shoot that was non-paid. I was the sponsor of the shoot. So it was literally a perfect occasion, a perfect real world example for me to use that camera. But yeah, it did make me question making that type of what whatever is the next camera that's gonna comes out, I go and rent it, and I say, wow, I really like this, I don't like that. I question if is it even worth making an episode about that.
For me, for Get a Grip, I don't think so. And
Yeah.
I've said this many times, but I never wanted this to be like a gear review channel. It doesn't mean we can't talk about pieces of gear, but to officially take the thing and run it through, people do that left and right. It's why bother doing that again, you know?
Yeah, there are a lot of people with a lot of experience doing that, and I can't even get near to what other people are already doing there very well. For me, there is not even a point to make a review about gear. But for example, I will be getting shared storage, some very interesting units coming through here for me to test for about 3 weeks. And those ones I actually plan on making some sort of review about it, because those are units that you go online and you don't find reviews about those things, and you don't find different workflows and what they are being used for.
Workflow is important to consider, even for cameras. It's one of the things that people very frequently fail to incorporate into their camera reviews, because a camera for one person that's great for one person might be terrible for the next person, and it might not have anything to do with the image quality it produces. It might simply be workflow.
And what about a group of people? Let's say if you're a camera operator with a first and a second AC, suddenly there are 3 people that are grouped around the camera. So if you're using a GH5, you probably don't want to use a GH5 for a shoot in where you have an operator and a first and a second AC. You have a focus puller and you have someone that's going to be doing other stuff. So you want a bigger rig so you can accommodate those people. Of course, not saying that they're always around the camera all the time, because we know that you can get wireless follow focus with wireless monitors, so the focus puller doesn't necessarily need to be right there. But I mean, there are cameras for individuals and there are cameras for teams, right? There are reasons for and workflows. Yeah, workflow shooting, workflows, the post-production, which I love doing. It's so weird, but yeah, I do.
I do too, and we've talked about it a fair amount on the show, and we'll.
And you obsess about it quite a lot.
It's important to me. I spend most of my time managing files and media, so if I can streamline things, it makes me happy. Switching gears a tiny bit, we had our most recent episode was the external monitor recorder epidemic, which was intentionally a clickbaity thumbnail, but it also happens to be true. So it was a legitimate title. I'm really surprised that didn't get more traction, because our tests were solid. It is a real issue. I wonder, I think it's that most people don't know it's an issue, so they don't know to look for it.
I think that's the problem. I think people have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I mean, once they watch the actual episode, yes, they will understand what it is. The problem is that how do you even get to that episode to search about that problem?
Yeah.
The person needs to be aware that that's a problem, and I don't think that's the case. I mean, I didn't know about that, and I think mainly because I don't really use external recorders. I use an external monitor, and I knew about, and when I was looking at reviews about the monitors, I saw someone commenting, well, the luminance range on the output is different than what you're seeing and what you're recording. So on the small HD, there was a guy that said, well, I changed these values here, so I actually am seeing what I'm actually recording. So it was changing something with the gamma, or I don't remember exactly what setting it was, or I really don't remember. But for me, it wasn't a big deal, because I could use false call, I use waveform and all of that. So, and I wasn't recording externally, I was just recording internally. So for me, I would never have searched about that problem.
Yeah.
But it got enough views there, I would say. How many views did it get? Like 200 something?
123, according to YouTube.
Okay, well, yeah, it's not a lot, but the external monitor, yeah. But you see, there are a couple of comments, 13 thumbs up. I would say that there are some people that know about it. And
I think that's one that'll gain traction slowly over time as more people become aware of the issue. That's my hope, anyway.
And there's the other thing, too. All this content that we create lives on forever.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of things that we've been commenting here, they are relevant for the next few years. So
for sure.
people didn't discover immediately as soon as we uploaded, but they're gonna discover in a year or two from now. And I've seen YouTubers mentioning, "Oh, I made this video like 4 years ago, and then one day it suddenly spikes, and a lot of people watch it." So maybe that will happen with some of our videos. Who knows?
Now, we've been accused a couple times of being GH5 fanboys, which I mean, on the one hand, fine. That's what I shoot with, so I guess I'm a fan. You know, I drink coffee. I'm a coffee fanboy too. What's really surprising to me is that we've not yet been called Final Cut Pro 10 fanboys, which is like shocking to me. Because now, again,
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
true.
the Final Cut Pro 10 show, but we talk about it a fair amount, and we have some tongue-in-cheek, you know, Final Cut Pro 10 graphics that come in here and there. Nobody's accused us of that yet. I'm sure they will next episode, but it's that's funny to me because of NLE video editors are as defensive of their NLEs as shooters are about their cameras. So it's just odd to me that we haven't been called out on that. We haven't hardcore bashed any other NLE either. So some jabs here and there, but
We have bashed Final Cut as well a couple of times.
oh yeah. I mean, I could do it 2 episodes on all the things that bother me about it easily.
After the project that I was working right now, I can rant for a little while for about published parameters and motion.
Yeah, it has issues, but anyway, it's just surprising to me that nobody's jumped on that one. What are, if not your favorite episode or episodes, what are the kinds of topics that most interest you, that you have the most fun recording and editing?
I do enjoy quite a lot talking to other people. Not that I don't enjoy talking to you, but we talk to each other very frequently, and it's very interesting when we get some interesting guests and they have a completely different point of view than we do. And I think that is very interesting. It challenges me to think differently and I don't know. I find that very interesting. So the other thing that I would like to see us doing more is actually trying to include more of this production and post-production community somehow. Because our guests, people probably have noticed already, they are not necessarily famous people. Some of them have big YouTube channels. Most of them don't. All of them professionals. But sometimes I kind of I get tired of watching and listening to some shows that's always the same repeat people. And I love the variety of getting to know different people from all over the world. So I want to have more of that, not for every episode, but really getting interesting people to come and talk about whatever it is that they do, what are their viewpoints on issues or things that can be better. I don't know. I think for me those are the more interesting ones.
Yeah, I really like the dynamic of having a guest on. I mean, it basically doubles the work for recording and editing.
And acquiring the media too, because we have to coordinate with the guest for them to record themselves. And of course, we always try to strive to get a very nice quality of our footage. So we want our guests to also have a very nice quality footage. Of course, not everyone has a nice camera. We find a way, and then they have to send us that file, and it tends to be very big. So there's a lot of coordination that we have to do there, and we did definitely ironed out our process quite a lot, to a point now that it's very easy for us to get media from our guests, and it is very easy for us to collaborate and take over each other's edits, right?
So yeah, I love having guests. I have to say that we've done 3 episodes now with my buddy Thomas Smet, and I think those are my favorite episodes. Just not necessarily because they're always the juiciest topic or the most fun, but because Thomas has stepped out of video production for his day job, I love that this gives him a chance to dive back into that world, and you can kind of just like pull the chain and let him run with it, and he's just going to geek out on all this stuff. and he knows his stuff really well. So I love having him on for that reason, because I can sort of sit back and just let him go, and he'll explain it really well.
It's
And then
that
we
husky that has been locked inside home the whole day, and you arrive and you just open the door, and the husky that phew, go away.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the video of the husky that goes in the yard and is jumping around in the piles of leaves from that?
Yeah, I think
the
I
owner
have,
had? Yeah, it's extremely funny. So yeah, Thomas, it almost feels like that's like he just needs that avenue to talk about all of those things and try to help the community with some knowledge and stuff that he has been writing around in some forums and groups, right? So I
Yeah,
find that super cool too.
Yeah, because he reads this stuff all the time, but he needs an outlet to vent, to get that out, which is the same thing I felt, which is why we're here now. But yeah, so I love having Thomas on, and he'll be on a bunch more. He no longer works from home, so it's harder to coordinate that. But I don't know. I mean, we've tried to reach out to different people. Yeah, what's on your mind?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you. So, what are you expecting for 2019? Are we going to continue doing this? Was it worth all the work that we've done this year so far?
I think it has been worth it, and I think we've both gotten better in front of the camera. I think we've gotten quicker at our setups. We've been quicker at post. We don't really interview our guests, but we're slightly better at gearing the conversation instead of just meandering around, which of course helps with our day job when we are actually doing interviews. So that experience is good. Of course, we always have experience lighting every setup. I've kind of been doing the same thing lately at this new house, but mostly just for time. Still looks pretty decent, I think. I love having an audience, even when they're calling me a fanboy or giving us thumbs down. That's fine. I love doing it. I fully intend to keep going. If you don't, then I don't know what I'm going to do, because I didn't want to do a show by myself.
No,
so
I definitely want to.
I'm hoping you'll continue with it. Now,
I don't expect immediate benefits or anything like that out of this. This for me is like it's like going to a pub, meeting a few friends, which is our community, our audience, meeting them, talking to them, and getting a conversation going. And I really enjoy that. And I think we should just continue to share what it is that we know, what are the questions that we have, raising those out there in public, and starting a conversation. And I think that's very powerful.
For me, just shooting, cutting, and watching the episode is already worth it to me, even if you only get one click, because I've created this thing, we created this thing, it has a certain amount of value to somebody out there. So I've done my part. And I'm actually I don't really care much about the audience. I'm not saying I don't care about individual people that view our episodes. I mean, I want to put out content that interests them. And one of the things I'd really like to do in 2019 is I'd like to have them submit more feedback in terms of what they'd like us to talk about. You know, if even one of you out there has something that's bothering you, or some problem that you're challenged by that we can address, I'd love to help you get through that problem. Because we do run out of ideas here and there.
And it might be a problem that we don't know the answer to, and we're happy to go and research and use our contacts that we have to come up with an answer. Maybe someone, let's say, Get Final Cut, for example, maybe someone has a question and then we actually don't know the answer. We might even reach out to Apple or to contacts that we have that are close to Apple and things like that, and try to get those answers to people. Also, because we have a channel and it's growing, eventually we're also going to be able to use that as, let's say, like press, like a media, how do I say this? We would be able to reach out to companies like Red and Panasonic and Sony and actually ask them questions like if we would be part of the press. And I think that's interesting. I mean, so if someone has questions, because normally these companies might not be answering to individuals, but if they are answering to someone that is sharing that with an audience, I think that's interesting. We haven't done that yet, but I would love to get to a point that we need to do this.
it feels good to be part of a larger community and to be cementing ourselves more firmly within that community as a reliable source, where at least our opinions are educated. Doesn't have to agree with all of them, but they're not coming. We're not just pulling them out of the ether. We've been developing these over years, and they're continually being shaped and reshaped by the various guests we have on that change our opinions of things. And as new technologies emerge and we adapt to different things, I think just the very fact that we're willing to continue adapting and growing is what helps us stay relevant.
Before we close the video and wish everyone the best, what does 2019 it has for us in terms of Get a Grip, would you say?
Well, we have a few videos loosely planned. We need to do some testing on first, and I think they're going to be multi-part episodes. But for people interested in the topic, I think it's going to be a really good resource for them. And so that'll be early 2019. This is our last episode, so happy holidays, everybody.
Yes.
But yeah, moving into next year, we've got a couple of those planned. And then again, in this episode, anybody watching, please, anything you want us to discuss or uncover or talk about, or if you want to be on the show, just leave it in the comments, because we will address all of them, even the thumbs down. Actually, part of me likes addressing the thumbs down and the negative comments. But apart from these mystery topics, Felipe, anything specific on your mind that you want to talk about that we can give the viewers a little clue about?
For me, what I have in mind is like, let's try to do more, do better, and really try to grow this audience and engage with everyone and get everyone participating on this. I'm really looking forward to that.
I will say, and we've talked about this, that while we continue to do these official full episodes, we would like to create a separate playlist of shorter, more tidbit episodes as well. We're still working on that. Hopefully that once that comes into being, we don't lose all our audience and they're just watching those little nuggets, because then I'll lose all faith in humanity.
From my side, I think I just want now to wish everyone happy holidays, happy new year, go on to this new one with the head high, breathe in, take some time off, including you, Mr. Gabe, because we all need some time off, and it's very important. Is good to recharge, and Illumaforge is doing like a series of tips of Christmas, and you can see that it's a very frequent theme is take a break, rest, and really is the human part of it. It's like, just don't sit on the computer for 12, 14, 16 hours. You have a life. And then Gabriel's like, yep, sure.
I'll be working all through Christmas. So.
Happy 2019. I'm looking forward to continuing Get a Grip next year and getting more in touch with this beautiful audience.
Happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you next year.
See ya.